When you have a family and you just got a busy life, getting on top of your nutrition, making healthy choices can be tough, but it's not impossible.
Today we're talking about 4 reasons why meal prepping isn't as hard as you think.
You're listening to the Pathway Podcast, leading you on the path to fitness success. Here are your hosts, Jonathan Canales and Rex Andrews.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pathway Podcast. I'm Rex.
And I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan, on to the next thing, right?
Yes.
You accomplish your goal, you set the new goal, start working on the new thing.
Keep moving forward. Keep that progress going, man.
That's right. And when we wrote the book, Executing Fitness Success, the whole point was to get guys in the game, right? Make it reasonable, make it realistic for busy guys to go, you know what? I can get in a lot better shape. I can do it fast, and it's not as hard as I thought it was. But the first hurdle you have to cross when you're trying to get back in shape is figuring out how you're going to make nutrition work for you, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big struggle for a lot of guys. Maybe they're eating out too much or they're not planning what they're going to eat ahead of time.
So I don't have time to think about food.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have time to think about food. All of a sudden you're hungry and it's like whatever's convenient, whatever's fast, whatever sounds good, that's what I'm eating. And I don't know why I'm not losing weight.
That's right, yeah. So one of the things that we did was we talked to our clients and kind of people who are like in our world on our email list, and we told them, hey, if you guys grab a book, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bonus workshop for you where originally we called it like meal prep mastery, right? Mm-hmm. But how do we simplify meal prepping as easy as possible? And of course, we wanted to keep the busy person in mind because that's who like we specialize with in Pathway, right? Just people with real careers, families, and they're trying to make fitness goals work for them. And we looked at that, we're like, man, so a lot of the ways that we've seen our clients deal with meal prepping and a lot of like the old school ways that you do it kind of suck.
Yeah, no, it really does. And I feel like it's like a big thing for why people suck at meal prepping is because they're just using the wrong strategies and making it way more difficult than it needs to be.
That's right. And when we looked at it, we've looked at what worked for us and for our most successful clients and the families who, got a system that worked for their schedule, for their days. We realized like meal prepping doesn't have to be as expensive as you think it does. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be boring. And it doesn't have to take a ton of time. You just have to have the right strategy in place. So that's what we wanted to break down, like the biggest reason why people said, like, well, I just can't make this work, and give you a much more realistic, easy to approach system for meal prepping, which is what we're going to cover in our Fit Family Workshop coming up on July 7th.
Yeah, so mark your calendars now for July 7th. Make sure you want to be there for that because we're going to really deep dive then. But today we're going to tell you what you need to do to really get going.
Yeah, if you want to register for that, by the way, mypathwaytraining.com/family and get all the details. And if you didn't buy a book on launch and you want to get access to the workshop, you can. It's just $20, and we're going to work with you guys hands-on to actually build a nutrition plan from the ground up that works for your family, show you how to make the grocery list, show you how to get the foods that you need, and make meal prepping work on your schedule. Could really be a game changer for your family's nutrition, and it's $20.
Yeah, and on top of all that, also just for your goals too. So not just any meals working. You might already cook some meals, but the meals that are going to help you reach your goals.
How do I actually get results with all this stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think let's just jump into it, right?
Let's do it.
Top 4 myth busting.
Yes.
Belief busting.
The lies that you're listening to that are stopping you from being in the shape you want to be in.
Can't listen to the lies. Can't listen to the conspiracy theorists out there. Tinfoil hat. So, number 1 lie I think people get caught up with a lot, especially when they start to eat healthy. Maybe you've tried doing this in the past and you ordered everything that you're supposed to and you went to the grocery store and you're like, I'm going to stock up on all this healthy food, and you got the grocery bill and you're like, oh man, like healthy eating is so expensive. But it's really not.
No, it really isn't. And I have honestly been in that exact same situation before when I've tried to eat healthy, like in grad school on like a budget. And it's like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to pay for all this stuff? But what I realized is a lot of the times that first week is going to be a little bit more expensive because you're having to get a lot of items that are like under $10, but that you're going to use for multiple weeks moving forward. So don't let that first week and what you're spending at the grocery store make you think I need to spend this much every single week, because usually you're not going to be spending that much every week as you do when you're getting all of the ingredients you need, the spices, the oils, the butter, and all that kind of stuff.
A little extra stuff, yeah. Another way to look at it too, that makes it pretty realistic pretty fast, is if you just take, okay, if I'm making 5 meals out of this, what was the cost of all the ingredients, divide that by 5, and that's your cost per meal. It's going to be way cheaper than going out to eat, And a lot of times people kind of get caught up in that of like, well, I'm spending this much at the grocery store, which is more expensive than they're used to. So Taylor and I, when we got engaged, we hired a financial advisor. Shocking that being a pro wrestler in my early 20s didn't teach me strong financial habits. So it's a place I had to make up a lot of room, right? And obviously we believe in coaching, and I knew that we wanted some help. So we hired a Dave Ramsey coach. And every month we meet with this guy, and every month it's like I'm walking in the principal's office, like, okay, have to like face the music of like what I've done here. And we just look at like what honestly happened over the last month. And for like the first 6 months of it, the thing that was the most shocking to us was just how much money we spent in restaurants. Yeah. Because that's how we deal with stress. We're tired at the end of the day. We both work full-time jobs. We'd buy groceries. We'd have meal prep food. And then like we know what we have to eat at home. But one of us would call the other one after work and be like, so what are we doing for dinner again? Okay, yeah, we could do that. Or we could like figure something else out, right? And we'd like open the window. And then once one person opens the window, then we'd let each other off the hook and be like, oh yeah, let's just go out to eat, right? We go to a restaurant. And that happens 1 time a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. It just like keeps spilling over. And now, we thought we just spent X on groceries, but we look at like our overall food budget, and we had like blown it out by adding in all this restaurant expense, right? So if you actually plan for a meal plan thing and like account for restaurants, account for eating out into your game plan, and you guys can stick to that, then you can save a ton of money on groceries just by knowing how much you're going to spend going into it.
Yeah, when you have that plan and you are actually executing it and you have a goal in mind, because I can completely relate to like having a lot of clients like that where they meal prep and then stress happens, whatever, and they end up eating out instead of already eating the stuff that they've cooked. But I think when you have a goal in mind and you're really working towards that goal and you share that goal with your like spouse or anyone else in your family, and they're there to help you like stay accountable to it, then it's easier to be like, no, I know we want to eat out, but we have this goal that we're working on and we really need to do this instead, and make like a better choice there versus just being like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Impulse control, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you just get on a game plan of budgeting, like whatever your budget is, you can make a meal prepping strategy and a nutrition strategy that fits your family and fits your budget. That's going to help you with your goals a lot more and probably save you a lot of money long term because you're being accountable to what you already agreed to you would do.
Yes.
That makes a huge difference. Yeah. I think most people are like, I don't spend any money. Where's my money goes? Oh, food.
Yeah. Food, and then like if you get drinks while you're eating out, it can add up quick.
Yeah, gratuity.
For sure.
They ain't playing with that gratuity.
Yeah. All right. So that's the first thing: is healthy eating does not have to be expensive. You just have to have a plan for it. And I think the second myth, the lie that you're listening to, is that it takes too much time. I don't have time to meal prep and do all that stuff. And I feel like a big thing with this is people, for whatever reason, it got popularized that you have to just meal prep on Sunday or sometime during the weekend and have all your meals planned out for the week. And then it does feel like it takes a bunch of time on a Sunday getting everything ready. And you're like, man, I have like a couple of days off. I don't really want to spend all day in the kitchen meal prepping and thinking about, stressing about all this stuff. So it doesn't have to be like that. Like you can always just, shorten it up a little bit, do a little bit at a time, and make it actually fit your schedule.
Absolutely. I remember there was one weekend because that's what we talk about, like the old school ways of this kind of suck, right?
Yeah.
Where people spend like all day Sunday, I'm just going to prep my food, and I don't have to think about it all week. Taylor and I did that for a long time. It was like, I don't know, it felt like the 100th week of us doing that. And Friday night, she starts to make the grocery list, right? And then us just making the grocery list, just deciding what we were going to cook, went from Friday to Saturday to Sunday. And it's something that like we had stressed about, like what are we going to have? Because like we didn't know what recipes we were going to cook. We didn't know what meals we were going to make. We didn't know when we were going to have time to cook it. So just the first step of just getting the groceries ordered ended up eating up our whole weekend and stressing us out because like we're supposed to be doing this to save us time, and it's eating up all the time that we have to relax. So we didn't get to enjoy the weekend. And we had to worry about like how we were going to actually cook this stuff during the week. So instead of it saving us time, it just stressed us out and made us miss our weekend, right? So that's where we're like, we have got to figure out a different way to do this. So just like out of frustration, I took a piece of paper and we like carved out our game plan of like, okay, when do we actually have time? What do we want to cook? All right, we already have like a beef meal here. Let's look up a chicken recipe here, and like just started filling blanks instead of just starting from scratch going like, well, what am I going to cook and how's that going to work? Just putting it on paper simplified stuff for us so much. And, you know, it ended up saving us a ton of time because we knew exactly when we were going to commit that time, what we needed to get, and how we were going to make it happen. So just having that game plan took us out of that uncertainty of like, I don't know what we're going to do, to telling us exactly what we needed to do so we can make a game plan to make it happen. Ended up saving us so much time and energy versus the old school way of just, I'm going to commit my whole afternoon on Sunday to just being in the kitchen cooking this stuff I really don't even want to eat.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's like different ways to go about it, because I think Rex and Taylor are very different than I am when it comes to food.
When I was single, it was a lot easier. I ate chicken and rice every meal.
Yeah,
that was good.
Exactly. But when you have like a whole family or a spouse to think about, it's like, okay, I can't just eat what I want. I have to actually, you know, find something that works for the family. Yeah. But for me, like, I really just use food as fuel, you know? And so a lot of the times when I am meal prepping, I just wanted to take as little time as possible and for me to be done so I have the fuel I need for the week, and I don't have to come home from a long day at work and be, I got to cook again right now. So a lot of the times it's just like trying to find those strategies of like, okay, what are the proteins that I want this week? Whether it's like ground turkey, shrimp, chicken, you know, whatever you're doing, and then saying like, what's the quickest way that I can do those? Maybe I can throw something in the crock pot. It only takes a little bit to make some ground turkey. I'll do that. And then, fish, it's like I just throw that in the oven. So you're finding these things that don't take a lot of time, don't take a lot of like effort to get done, but once you do spend a couple of hours or less on the weekend, you have all the proteins that you need for the week. And then instead of cooking like an entire meal when you get home, it's like, oh, I just got to like throw on some rice, or I got to steam some veggies or something like that. And it's way less daunting than like, I got to make an entire meal when I get home.
Yeah, that's what's called like a principal meal prep or a protein prep, because you got to think like what takes the most time in cooking meals. It's usually getting the meat ready, getting the protein source. So yeah, if you can just prepare a lot of stuff ahead of time, that doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing over and over again, right? One strategy a lot of people like to use is just grill a lot of chicken, and you can take that chicken and you can shred some and you can cube some up and you can put some in salads and you can put some with barbecue sauce and you can put some with hot sauce and have like buffalo style. So you can have a huge variety of what you're doing, but it only took you like an hour to get all this protein done that you need for the week. So yeah, you can make this work for your schedule. Taylor and I, we like to enjoy our dinners together. We like to enjoy our evenings. So when we have time, we enjoy having, you know, different meals and more flavor. One time when Jonathan and I were living together, I walk in the kitchen, he's eating ground turkey out of a Tupperware and just a handful of blueberries. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, carbs and protein. That's what I need.
That's what I needed.
Yeah.
That was one of those days where we had worked 12 hours. I got home and it's like, I really don't feel like doing anything. So there's some blueberries in the fridge. I have some ground turkey already made. Let's just get something in versus, you know, getting Whataburger on the way home or just not eating because I'm so tired and want to go to sleep. It's better when you already have that stuff there and you can just make a quick decision to do that.
Yeah. That's like another helpful tip is just to have bailouts ready. Like when things don't go according to plan, what do you do instead? I mean, you were trying to meal prep this week and that happened, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're just like, okay, we got all these new recipes. We're trying all this stuff out. And then I went golfing on Sunday, like trying to enjoy the day off. And then I got home. I was like, okay, I'm going to make my HEB list. I'm going to go pick this up and I'm going to meal prep. But I went to pick the times and all the times for Sunday were already taken. So it was like, okay, the next time I can pick is Monday when I'm off work, and I can just meal prep then, right? Yeah. I'll just make that adjustment. I already had some ground beef made, so I just made some ground beans that night, or not ground beans, green beans that night, and just like threw that together. I was like, cool, I have these for my 2 meals. I can just do a protein shake for breakfast and get going with that. And so all that happened. I had my meals for that day. We work, you know, all day on Monday. I get home around like 7 or so, and then we get a phone call, and we have to do this interview with the Houston Chronicle. And so it's like, okay, I am meal prepping during this time, but I really need to do this other thing for work. So I had to like stop what I was doing, got to a stopping point with cooking, and then went and did the interview. And then at the end of that, I had already started that process. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to finish this and go with it. And so, you know, it was late whenever I finished, but I had to remind myself during that process, instead of getting super frustrated of like, I'm cooking super late after a long day. It was more so just like, hey, you know, I'm really helping myself later in the week, so I won't have to do this. I'm trying these new recipes out that could be a staple for me later. And once you start thinking of those positive benefits, it's way easier to get into a positive mindset and actually like enjoy what you're doing.
For sure. Another example is Taylor and I were traveling back from Atlanta, and we got laid over we got stuck is what happened. Yeah. They just canceled our flight. We're supposed to fly out at 4 p.m. We don't fly out until 9 a.m. the next day, which was the day we're supposed to be at work. We were planning on going back to work. So like, okay, we get home, we shower, straight to work. We have nothing ready for the week. But Taylor, thinking ahead, had made these freezer meals, right? So we got these recipes that you just throw everything together in a freezer bag, and then you dump it in a Instapot, and 30 minutes later you have this delicious recipe. So she made these weeks ago. She was like, just in case we need these.
Yeah.
When we're in a tight spot, we'll have these ready to go. So when we landed, before we got in the shower, took that freezer meal out. By that evening, it was thawed. Doing the Instapot, we had something healthy to eat. And 30 minutes later, would have been a lot easier if we didn't have something ready to go. We just flew home. We worked all day. We're exhausted. We deserve to just have something and go out to eat. But because we had just done a little bit of prep work, that, you know, helping out future us, right? That's what this whole game's about. Just setting yourself up for future success. It made it a lot easier on us. So the third reason why people think meal prepping is just too hard, can't make it work for them, they think it has to be boring. Have to eat the same thing over and over again. You don't get to enjoy your favorite foods. That's just not the case.
Fake news.
Fake news. You listen to these old school, antiquated, boring bodybuilders who tell you to eat boiled chicken and rice. That ain't life. That ain't what we're out here to do. We're trying to enjoy ourselves. We're trying to get some Tex-Mex every now and then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, you can be eating healthy, doing meal prep, but sometimes you want to go get some Mexican food and some margs. And if you are doing Mexican food and margs, you have to order.
Does everybody know what a marg is?
Margarita?
Yeah, I don't think anybody calls them margs. I think that's just a you thing.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, if you're going out to get a margarita, which some people call margs, then you'll want to get a half and half. So what that is half frozen, half on the rocks. So you're getting a little bit more alcohol, and you only have to get one instead of maybe getting two, and it's the way to order margaritas.
And no brain freeze, right? If you get a full frozen margarita, no ice, watering down your margarita, but you can't drink it as fast. The half and half, you can just cruise through it.
Exactly.
That frozen part's keeping it cold, but you're getting the liquid, you're getting that alcohol out of it. That's how you get a margarita. Then, in case instead of having two, just have one of them. Enjoy yourself.
You're good
right?
to go, yeah.
That's right. Gotta love those half and half margaritas. But how do you have half and half margaritas, still get the results you want, still stay on your nutrition plan, right? Just by having that game plan that works for you. Bobby, one of our biggest success stories, got lost 114 pounds in 9 months. 2.5 years later, still crushing it, still, you know, setting new goals for himself and all that stuff. He had a really simple system that I was like, man, that is genius, right? The simplest stuff makes so much sense. When he was having a craving, he said, man, I want this thing so bad. What he would do is he would just put it on his schedule the next day. So he would look at like how many calories was the thing that he wanted. He said he wanted cake. He loved cake.
Yeah, big cake guy.
Yeah. So he would look and go, okay, a slice of cake.
Not an entire cake.
Yeah, a slice of cake is this many calories. And he would look at, okay, it's that many sugars, that much carb, et cetera, et cetera. And then he would just accommodate the rest of his calories to fit having that cake. This is what they call like if it fits your macros, right? If you hit the macros that you're supposed to, macronutrients, right, then you're still going to be on track with your goals. That is totally cool to do like once a week. Problem is when you're like meal prepping and you're going, cool, I'm getting the right amount of food in, but then at the end of the night you have a meal that's not on your meal plan and it has like 600 more calories than you're supposed to have. That's where things get messed up, where you're telling yourself, I'm eating well most of the time, but I'm still not seeing results because you're not accommodating for those extra calories you're getting when you're not on plan. So that's how you accommodate for those extra calories, still stay on plan, still enjoy the foods that you want to get to. and still get great results.
Yeah, and I feel like more so than anything with that strategy, you're just like flexing that discipline muscle a little bit too. So like a big thing with nutrition is having control and telling yourself no sometimes. So it's not just like, oh, I'm really craving a piece of cake and there's cake right there, I'm going to eat it right now. But having the ability to be like, okay, I really want that cake, so let me plan for it. Let me delay this instant gratification and like push it off a little bit. It just gives you a little bit more of that control. And once you do that more and more, it becomes easier to tell yourself no to some of those cravings that you really enjoy, or going out to eat when you're stressed. And so you really can stay on track with your goals.
That's it, yeah. And that keeps you from, that's that impulse control we were talking about, right? So often things aren't going according to plan, and you're like, well, I have to have a cheeseburger. It's my only option. And then you give in to yourself once, and that just makes it easier and easier to keep giving in. But when you can keep that discipline and account for things, and yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as like working with a financial advisor, right? It's like looking at the accounting, looking at the numbers, going like, what's working, what's not working, how can we keep things moving in the right direction here?
Exactly.
That's right.
And then I know another fourth thing, and this was a big thing for me whenever I was getting into being healthier and meal prepping and that sort of stuff, is just saying like, I'm just not a good cook. And I know there was a lot of times, and still there's times when you're trying new recipes out and it's just like, man, I did not nail that. But I think a lot of the times when you're starting off and you're trying new things, and maybe you haven't had a lot of experience cooking, you're not going to be great at it at the beginning. But you can't just tell yourself, I'm not a good cook, so I can't meal prep, and then just never meal prep. You have to like get rid of that belief of I'm not a good cook and say, hey, this is something I want to improve at and get better at. So I need to do this more often and practice at it so that I can keep getting better and keep improving. And now I have like way more meals that I feel confident cooking and I know that taste good, just because I've had the trial and error process and went through it all. And you just continue to get better and build out that playbook.
Yeah, Tony Robbins has a great quote. Gotta love Tony Robbins, but he's got a good line about that where he says, you have a baby and you're trying to teach your baby how to walk and they're just not getting it. At what point do you go, he's just not a walker. Like, he's not going to figure it out. You know, he figures it out, right? Because it's important enough to figure out, I got to do this. You're going to have to eat every day. You might as well figure out how to make nutrition work for you and how to cook the things you want to cook. There's also a lot of resources out there for you to get better at this really fast. If you don't have cookbooks make a huge difference. There's a ton of people you can follow on Instagram and TikTok who are putting out recipes all the time. And you will try a recipe that looks amazing on TikTok and make it and try to eat it and go, that wasn't it. And you'll be like, man, I can't believe I just wasted all this food and all this time, and now I still don't have anything ready that I'm going to be able to eat. That definitely happens. But having bailouts in place and like having your tried and true stuff that you know to stick to helps you to stay on plan. That's where, like, if we're trying something new, we're always kind of padding it with things that we know we like during the week so that for the most part we're going to be good, and then we can try something different. And if that works, awesome. We just added a cool thing to our playbook. But if it didn't, no big deal. We still have other stuff to like get us through until we need to.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I tried this new recipe, it sucks, so I'm going to go eat pizza or
something.
Hope is
lost.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just trying to like have those bailouts in place, but also just challenging yourself to like find new recipes that work for you and your family, and that you actually enjoy, that don't take that long or, you know, fit in your schedule to make.
That's right. I stand by the fact that cooking is one of the best hobbies that you can take on at any point. You get to practice every day. You get to benefit from it immediately. Like it's a cool thing to be able to feed your family, and like you want to be the house where like the kids are coming over and be like, oh yeah, like so and so's parents are cooking. It's gonna be legit, right? So it's a good thing to be able to get down and just learning how to get your family eating healthier and all on the same page and all working together and having a game plan that they're excited about. That's it. That's how you make healthy eating work for your busy family. So we're going to dive deeper into this. We're going to give you guys an exact blueprint of how you can build a nutrition plan from the ground up that fits your family, fits your schedule, fits the kind of foods that you like to enjoy, and helps you get to your goals. We're going to be doing that at this Fit Family Nutrition Workshop on July 7th. If you guys want access to it, go to mypathwaytraining.com/family. You can register for $20. Honestly, we don't know if we're going to be doing this workshop again. This is something that we typically just share with our private clients, but we wanted to open the door, help more people, and get like hands-on with people, which is why we're doing it in this workshop fashion. It's going to be on Zoom. We want you guys to bring your family, like your spouse. Your kids don't have to be there, but like, bring your spouse and come ready to take notes, because we're talking about you. We're talking about your calories. We're talking about the foods that you eat and helping you build your plan. So it's going to be action-oriented, but it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Like, think about it. You just spend $20. You show up on July 7th, hop on the Zoom call, and 90 minutes later, you have an exact plan for you and your family that fits your goals, and you have a whole new playbook of recipes to try out and keep going so you can stay excited about what you're eating, and you're moving towards your goals. It is all possible. You just got to show up to the workshop and figure out how to do it.
That's it. You will have the exact nutrition plan for your family ready for next week. Grocery list done. Meals planned out. Menu done. You'll know exactly how you're going to make it happen from July 7th. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. www.mypathwaytraining.com/family. I think that's it for us this week, right?
All right, let's do it then.
All right. We'll see you guys here next time on the Pathway Podcast.